This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. It is Tuesday, January the 30th. And I hope you're having a great day so far. I would imagine a lot of you would be characterizing the weather you're seeing today as refreshing. We've had the strongest front and the largest impact of a front so far this season, bringing in north winds, gusty conditions, and much lower humidity. We'll get into the forecast coming up in a second, but I do want to talk about the memberships here that we just started a few days ago at Meteo Mundo. A lot of you have been emailing me a little bit confused about it, and I can understand why. I didn't realize kind of how complicated it was to become a member across YouTube platform and for all creators, but I want to break down, if you want to become a member, the steps that you're going to want to take. This is the Meteo Mundo homepage, and at the top of that homepage, you're going to see a couple of buttons. First of all, hopefully you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, make sure you subscribe right now. The notification's on. You'll get, the notifications of the newest content here at Meteo Mundo. If you want to become a member, that is the join button right next to that subscribe button. Again, it's not going to say membership or become a member. It's actually join. That's how you become a member here at Meteo Mundo and get the perks that we've been talking about. So that is the button that you're going to want to click. Now, if you're viewing us on an Android phone, you're going to see that button and you can go ahead and subscribe that way. Unfortunately, if you're viewing us on an iPhone or any iOS device, you're not going to see that join button, and the workaround is extremely difficult. So the easiest way, if you're viewing us on an iPhone and you want to become a member, use a desktop computer. You'll then see that join button. And again, becoming a member here at Meteo Mundo is going to give you access to those exclusive member-only forecast videos, the badges and emojis, and it's only 99 cents a month. If you just want to support us here at Meteo Mundo, you can do that as well, and we certainly appreciate it. Okay, let's get into the forecast on this Tuesday. We've had a significant front blast through the Western Atlantic, all of the Bahamas, and deep into the Western Caribbean, which has really brought some, again, refreshing conditions. These are your temperatures over the last 6 hours. Recording this on early Tuesday afternoon, so we're basically at the heat of the day. And take a look at these numbers. The Bahamas today, in places like Freeport and Nassau, start off in the 60s, and Freeport has only got up to 70 for a high today. Nassau 75. Look how cool it is in Bermuda. They're right in the middle of that mid-latitude cyclone, and that's their temperature. 63 down to 59. Very chilly conditions there. It's 86 in Kingston, but it's a north wind, lower humidity, much more refreshing across Jamaica. How about the Cayman Islands in the upper 70s? It's a little bit milder through Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, but it's very comfortable there. You get south of Dominica, down towards Trinidad and Tobago, it's still relatively warm, relatively humid, more of an east wind there. But these north winds have been blasting all the way through the western side of the Caribbean. Speaking of those winds, we'll take a look at the gusts for us here. And again, the winds have relaxed a little bit from their peak overnight into the morning hours here, but we're still having some 20, 25 mile an hour gusts from time to time. And then look at Bermuda. Again, they're right in the middle of that mid-latitude cyclone. Their winds are gusting in the mid and the upper 30s. So the winds are a big story in the impacts it's going to bring. And again, take a look at our wind vectors here tonight and overnight. Look how far south these north winds go. I mean, all the way down into places like Panama and Costa Rica. Even the northern sides of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and portions of the Leeward Islands are going to have a north wind. Again, you get south of Dominica, and it's more of an easterly breeze. But the winds are going to be relaxing a little bit. They're not going to be as breezy, but that trajectory is bringing in some cooler, drier air. Let me know if you've been feeling that in the comments section below. Again, does it feel refreshing? Do you still want it to drop a couple of degrees more, or do you want it to be a little bit warmer? Now let's take a look at the winds over the next 5 days. This is a very powerful mid-latitude cyclone that is moving off towards the east. There's actually a secondary system that'll be moving right across Bermuda again. Another front coming in later, and you can see the winds associated with that. Now, it's only going to be impacting Bermuda for the most part in the far eastern side of the Bahamas. It's going to kick up the surf and sea conditions again, and the winds will begin to turn back out of the south at least for a time. But again, through the Caribbean, it's a north to northeast wind to begin with. As we get towards the latter part of the week and the weekend, the winds will turn back out of the south as another strong cold front blast through the eastern half of the United States. You can see the wind change there. It's going to bring much cooler weather again to places like Cancun and the Bahamas, and a lot more wind in those areas. Speaking of the Bahamas, just an area that is going to be impacted kind of significantly again, just closer to these fronts. We can take a look at this. Watch those winds blast again as we move through time. So the winds will turn out of the north again here in the next couple of days. They'll relax, be a little bit calm by the end of the week. And then as we head towards the weekend, here comes another blast of strong winds and the opportunity for some good rain as well. Again, other areas like the Leeward Islands are going to mainly stay with the easterlies. They're not going to be as strong as they were, which is good news. I mean, we had almost weeks and weeks of some extremely aggressive winds here. The winds are going to be much more diminished. They'll be mainly out of the southeast, which is going to keep the humidity values up a bit until you get towards Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda. Those areas, the winds will be a little bit more out of the north, a little bit lower humidity, but surf and sea conditions in this area will be relaxing a little bit, calming down a bit, and that's good news. And again, we stay with that north wind for places like San Juan and Arecibo and Roadtown and St. Thomas and St. Croix, kind of more of an easterly breeze for Punta Cana and Santo Domingo. The northern side of the island will stay with the fresh breeze out of the north. We're going to stay with an easterly breeze here to a southeast breeze in the ABC Islands. But again, the winds won't be as strong as they have been. And then for my friends in Jamaica, it is going to be a variable wind. Again, I'll let this loop up one more time. We'll start off kind of out of the north. Will be a couple of days of variable winds and then transitioning more out of the southeast late in the week. It's going to increase the humidity and the temperatures once again. Let's get to the rainfall, guys. Let's take a look at that and see what these fronts are going to be doing for us here. Again, real quickly as well, real fast before we get into that, if we look at the water vapor imagery here, again, the air is relatively dry. Any of this rain is going to be fairly shallow in nature, right? There's just not a big moisture column here. That's the upper levels. If you look at the lower levels, there's not much, okay? Except for in the Bahamas, where we could get a little bit more in the way of some downpours as these fronts come in. So any of the rain that I'm talking about in general, it's going to be pretty light in nature for us here. All right, let's get into it. I'll loop this up for you here over the next 5 days. And again, it's pretty clear to see the impacts of these mid-latitude cyclones over Bermuda. That is one area that could get impacted by heavier rain right over that core of the mid-latitude cyclone. There comes our next front, again, moving in as we get towards the weekend here, mainly impacting areas just outside of us. But late in the period, it is going to swing over the Bahamas. And that's a big story. That is one of the big areas that I'll be monitoring for heavier rain and even some thunderstorm activity through portions of the central and the northwest Bahamas. All right, what do you say we start actually in the Lesser Antilles? We'll just kind of move from east to west and then go back up toward the north. Because we have a north wind, generally north of Dominica, there's not a lot of moisture here, so it's going to be relatively dry. There'll be a few showers from time to time over the next 5 days, but many dry hours and locations. Again, relatively refreshing for the northern side of the Leeward Islands. You get to the Windward Islands here, Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and then Trinidad and Tobago. Again, winds are more out of the east. It's not going to be as comfortable. There'll be some humidity involved, and from time to time, we're going to break out some showers. A little bit more moisture to play with an east to a southeast wind for Barbados and south. But again, nothing that's going to be very concentrated here. The model actually picks up on tomorrow having a decent burst of some rain near Barbados, and then it's about a 20% chance for some scattered showers there over the next couple of days. Of course, in the members video, we'll keep a really close eye on what's happening in Barbados. ABC Islands, relatively dry conditions, a little bit more of a southeast breeze there. Again, drop me a line if you're viewing us. Someone just said hi from Curacao, the last video. We appreciate you watching us here, and I hope you're enjoying the forecast, which is going to be relatively pleasant there over the next 5 days. Don't expect a lot of rain for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and Hispaniola in general. Again, with more of an easterly breeze, we'll catch some. Now, the one exception is going to be in the evening, in the overnight hours, for portions of Puerto Rico. And I want to kind of highlight that real quickly here. Notice we'll have some scattered showers, but look at this here. This is the overnight hours here as we get into early tomorrow morning. Northern coastline, including San Juan. There's an area where this afternoon, the chance of rain is 20%. The evening and the overnight hours, the chance of rain is 60%. So there will be some evening and overnight showers the next couple of mornings. You can see that again developing late in the day and then into the wee hours of what's going to be Thursday morning. And you can see again, just some rain developing there into Friday morning as well, and then it dries out. So I just want to highlight that there will be some what we call nocturnal rain developing through portions of Puerto Rico, and that might impact portions of the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands as well, but a lot of the daylight hours should be mainly dry. Let's swing on over to Jamaica, my friends there, and again, spotty rain is in the forecast the next couple of days. You might catch a little bit of moderate rain. I don't think anything is going to be heavy. Nothing's going to be very concentrated. And it's about the same chance of rain across the entire island. Kingston, Mandeville, Maypen, Montego Bay, Negril. I would expect some spotty showers. Again, temperatures going up with the humidity late into the week. So let's talk about our big front now and where it's going to be impacting some areas. Let's step this out as we get into the latter part of the forecast. So again, today is the 30th, Wednesday is the 31st, the 1st is 2nd to Friday. So this is going to be Saturday and Sunday, mainly Sunday here for the Bahamas. Here comes this front. Late Saturday, it moves through Peninsula Florida, Saturday and then into Sunday, and especially Sunday afternoon. Right now we can see some stronger storms. Look how covered up we're going to be here late into the period. Walker's Key, Freeport, Lucaya, Marsh Harbor, Nassau, all the way down into the central Bahamas, maybe even the southeast Bahamas, and close to the Turks and Caicos. So that is going to be a story to be watching here. Again, ahead of it, mainly tranquil conditions. Winds will be turning, of course, out of the south as the front moves in. And then as we get into our Sunday, here comes that next blast of some heavier storms. And again, certainly the possibility for some actual thunderstorm activity with this next front. And again, this is going to be Sunday evening, but certainly earlier in the day. I'll be watching the timing of this very closely for my friends in the Bahamas and keep you updated there. Some of this could clip portions of Cuba, and again, maybe as far southeast as the Turks into the Caicos, but I would imagine that this is mainly going to be fading as it gets into the Turks and Caicos. Again, it's going to generally be an issue for portions of the Bahamas. And again, your timing is going to be late Saturday, but mainly as we go into Sunday. All right, let's take a look at the total precip here over the next 5 days. And again, I'll pick a time frame about 5 days out. So give me 1 second to do so. Again, if you haven't liked the video, I always appreciate that, my friends. We thank you very much for that. Okay, so again, let me go out a little bit further here because I just want to show what the impacts of that front is going to bring to the Bahamas. All right, so there you go. And again, anywhere that you're going to see purples and pinks are going to be some totals that'll be over an inch. Notice the majority of the Caribbean and the Leeward Islands, it's going to be less than that. But pretty significant potential for some rain here coming into portions of the Bahamas. And again, this would be a 5 to 6 day total here this far up, but we can take a look at some of those numbers. Now, again, there's going to be some bullseyes north that could be maybe a half foot of rain, maybe up to 3 inches of rain towards Walker's Key. Maybe just a little bit less than that. It all depends basically on how fast this front is moving through, but you get the opportunity here for a few inches of rain. And this is certainly out of the ordinary for January. Again, most of the time we just see some light convection and some breezy north winds with these fronts, but for Andros and New Providence and Eleuthera and Grand Bahama and Abaco, again, we're in that kind of 1 to 2 inch range with some locally higher amounts. As I mentioned, it gets a little bit drier, central and the southeast side of the Bahamas. And then actually the model is actually trying to bring a little bit more maximum back into the Turks and Caicos, another 3+ inches of rain in a couple of areas. This is the part of our viewing area to be watching for some of that heavier activity, again, over the weekend, maybe into Monday as well. All right, let's get into the forecast for San Juan. I mentioned that it's going to be kind of more nocturnal showers. So showers developing later today, but especially this evening and overnight, and then showers likely early Wednesday. We're going to repeat it again Wednesday night into early on Thursday, and then we'll see some more scattered, mainly afternoon rain on Friday and Saturday, but it'll be just about a 30% chance there. And daytime highs that will mainly be in the lower 80s. How about some upper 70s, though, to wrap up the week? Friends, again, we appreciate your support. You can find us through a lot of other social media platforms as well. Instagram, again, we're on TikTok, Meteo Mundo. We've got an X page. You can find us on Facebook. You want to send me a photo or a video of where you're viewing us from, I'd love to show it on the channel. You can always email us at mymeteomundo@gmail.com. And of course, if you have, wait for it, a question about the forecast, you can always drop it in the comments section below. I always appreciate hearing from my friends. And again, thank you for liking the video. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll keep you updated. If you're seeing those north breezes and that refreshing air, enjoy it. I'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.